Art. It is one of the most important aspects of any civilization. There is one form of art that has been seen for centuries. From Roman soldiers drawing penises on Hadrian's wall, to an angry Egyptian who painted Cleopatra doing obscene acts on Mark Antony in a cave. Graffiti has always been the mark of the people. Down a small alleyway in Arbor is a place for people to express themselves freely. It's known as Graffiti Alley. It is an urban art center like none other. Walking down the alleyway is like walking through a hallway full of color and creativity. But it raises an interesting question. Why do people choose to express themselves through graffiti? Human creativity has always driven innovation, but there's no practical purpose for art, at least on the surface. Yet we continue to paint and make music. Humans naturally want to express themselves, but there's something to be said that is very different between the works of, say, Van Gogh and your average denizen of a place like Ann Arbor. With all that being said, I believe that graffiti is the purest form of art. Graffiti doesn't come from the painters or the politicians, but rather the people who live in obscurity, the everyday, average person. The oldest graffiti in the world is known as the Sulawesi paintings in Indonesia. They are 39,900 years old. That was made long before even written language existed. But graffiti also offers a window into the peoples of a civilization. In the ancient city of Ephesus in Greece, there is a piece of graffiti that depicts a foot, a heart, and a number. It indicated how many steps in a particular direction it took to give your heart to a prostitute. Graffiti is also synonymous with revolution and political dissent. In ancient Egypt, in a cave, there was graffiti found that protested the union between Mark Antony and Cleopatra. Even now, the youths of Egypt that disagree with their current government are painting murals as a form of protest. Kilroy was here. That is a famous phrase associated with the depiction of a bald man peering over a counter. It's something so famous you'd be hard-pressed to find someone in the world that hasn't heard of it. During the Second World War, U.S. soldiers would graffiti Kilroy all over Europe and the Pacific. It is said that during the meeting of Stalin, Churchill, and Truman, Stalin ran out of his private bathroom and demanded to know who Kilroy was, as somebody painted him just above the toilet. At one point, the Germans were even convinced that Kilroy was some kind of spy. It's believed his origins may have come from the British Mr. Chad. The phrase may have come from a steel shipyard supervisor named James Kilroy. His job was to inspect the work of holes on tanks. The test loaders wanted him to go with them to check the jobs even though he already had. So he started writing "Kilroy was here" on all of the tanks. Art comes in many different forms, but nothing is as pure as graffiti. It gives a fascinating, unadulterated look into a peoples of a culture. The Graffiti Alley in Ann Arbor is one such place, and will always be a part of our history.